What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? It's your boy Enlightened Luciferian Prince coming at y'all once again. Welcome for coming to another session. My wife's these like crazy behind me. Um, yes, welcome for everybody that actually is returning. I'm really big on the thing because I know that in these very financially trying times, there's there. I said nothing. Excuse me. There's nothing better than actually knowing that you have a remedy, and yes, it is applicable by law, irrespective of any interest in business or any interest in regards to preserving their unmoralistic business practices, which we will say is very evident today in today's culture, in today's society, in the westernized society, in the world over. So, in regards to this, I would like to say my disclaimer, and I have to say it because particularly now that we're getting in the cutting edge of the times and where people basically want to suppress information, I will say that this does not constitute legal advice, nor does it constitute anything anti-government. The sole purpose of this video is for informational and educational purposes only. Also to mention, if you're watching this video around children, although it is in my video description, sometimes some people watch videos around children, and I have a penchant to use strong language, although I'm a very articulate man. It's just sometimes I get a little bit passionate about what I have to say. So, with that being said, people, just get ready. Now, we got that out the way. Um, what I wanted to explain to people, and I know that as time materializes, a lot of people will find that what I'm saying is very, very true. And what I'm saying is real in regards to because that it's not something I'm making up, and it's not something that I'm trying to convince you of. It's something I'm really showing you in real time. And I'm showing you by United States Code, and I'm showing you by these codes. These codes are actually in place. Again, I can't stress this enough. These codes are in place to protect you from consumer abuse on behalf of these so-called creditors. Let me tell you why they're not creditors. They're not creditors because they establish liabilities. Creditors do not establish liabilities whatsoever. And I want a lot of people to get fundamentally involved with the lingo behind the legalese. You know what I'm saying? They call themselves creditors and call you debtors. You cannot be a debtor when you are the primary source of the creation of any instrument in which they create to try to loan to you. You see what I'm saying? See, whenever somebody calls themselves a lender, they're not lending anything to you. All they're doing is basically utilizing your nexus in regards to a commercial transaction. What they're doing is they're making themselves the liable party, but they transfer it back to you through a transmitting utility. So what they're doing, if you can compare it to like a negative charge in regards to, electricity, it's like a back blow. You know what I'm saying? It's like basically, you know, whenever something is plugged into something that is not wrong, no, that is not right, I should say, excuse me, that basically you receive the sparks in your face because what they did was called a reverse transaction. And when they did a reverse transaction, what they did was they took your credit by without your written permission or consent, and then they basically created a liability, which means that when they created a liability, they also drafted what is called a promissory note. Once they drafted a promissory note, which you're promised to pay, which is an unsecured security, they basically said, well, you know what? You're going to pay me back for this mortgage. You're going to pay me back for this car. You're going to pay me back. Even though they put nothing down on anything, they created a liability, which is called floating a lien. So when they floated the lien to you, you accepted it. Now, let me tell you why you can never be trapped in this situation. And if you're sitting here, bring your pen and paper because this is good information. You know what I'm saying? Good information. Good game. You know what I'm saying? So when they basically said you signed, notice you signed because you honored the agreement. You honor an otherwise dishonorable agreement because they defaulted when they created the liability. See what I'm saying? When they created the liability, they made themselves evident on the record. Okay, what do I mean when I say this? If you finance a vehicle, right? For all you people that's financing vehicles, talking about you got to make car payments, this, that, and the third, and all you people that want to keep paying, cut this video off. This is not for you. But if you want to utilize these codes to keep yourself from paying something that you already paid for on your credit, please stay tuned because this is not for everybody. But I'm going to be real in regards to financing an automobile or financing anything, a loan, anything. This is all relative. I'm going to just start here with the automobile and I'm going to work my way into some other things. When you finance an auto and you're approved, once you have approval, here's two key elements you need to remember. You are approved based on financing with credit, and you are approved based on what? Non-signature. So whoever the lender is or whoever the lending agency is, there was never a written contract for them to approve you. You see what I'm saying? See, there is a form that must be filled out. If you watch my previous videos, I showed people that there's a form that must be filled out prior to you utilizing must be signed by anybody who wishes to extend, particularly any type of credit to you. This is what's going to save a lot of y'all if y'all really paying attention. You know what I'm saying? If y'all really paying attention to what I'm saying, I'm going to let you know there is a form. Now, this is absent from any contract that you sign. You see what I'm saying? When I told people about this form, they was looking at me like I was crazy. What is it for? What's the purpose? What's the primary intended purpose for it? It is called an authorization for Social Security Administration to release Social Security number verification. For all you people who have mortgages, who have loans, who have credit cards, none of these entities have this individual consent from you. This is an actual governmental form. This is you, what you fill out in regards to them actually saying that particularly they can utilize your credit because your social security number is your credit. That is your credit line. That is your social security for the extension of your life. That's why it's called in perpetuity, in continuance. There is no off date. The only off date is when you off date, which basically when you don't exist anymore. Now you print your name, your date of birth, and you put the social. Now it says reason for authorizing consent. You have to authorize consent before they can even approve. They never ask for this. This is always absent from the contract, right? It says reason for applying to apply for a mortgage, to open a bank account, to apply for a credit card, to apply for a loan, to open a retirement account, to apply for a job, to meet a licensing requirement or other which you would then fill in. With the following company name, company address, agent's name, agent's address. You know, the consent, you only put it, it's only consent for 90 days. It's only valid for 90 days consent from the date signed unless otherwise indicated, which means that you are holding in due course. You see what I'm saying? They tell you, tear off, number of holder. So you are the primary principal. But when y'all fall into debt, y'all don't understand that everything I just said, if you pay close attention, all these entities that you just dealt with in regards to credit cards, loans, mortgages, all that stuff is covered by extension of your credit. So you people that's arguing about student loans, draft up a cover letter and send them and tell them that this debt cannot be valid in regards to you not having authorization. You people taking out auto loans, you're taking out loans against yourself. And what you're doing is you're empowering the system because basically what you're doing is you're taking your credit and your credit is being used against you. See, I know a lot of people talk about I need to fix my credit score. Your credit score ain't shit. That is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. That is just credit monitoring. That is not credit worthiness. Do you understand what I'm saying? Most individuals are trying to get, utilize, or obtain your information, which, if you pay close attention, I said it in the previous video. It is against the law. It is a felony for these people to use this information. That's why on the back of the Social Security card it says, do not share this information with anyone. When anyone asks you for this information, you better understand It is not their ability to actually utilize this. Y'all need to start notifying these agencies and start telling these people when they ask for your number, say, hey, if I give you this number, it is a felony if I give it to you. You know that, right? They're like, what are you talking about? You must give it to me or else I must process this. You don't have written authorization from me. So your job as the individual who's holder in due course, your job is to make sure you say, well, I'll send you an authorization before I can make consideration of this. This will keep you out of a lot of trouble. That's why you have to keep these things on you. But this is absent in any mortgage or any loan contract whatsoever. That's why y'all get stuck with the debt because you haven't basically asserted yourself to say, you need my permission. Because if it says agent's name and agent's address, that's the person that's particularly going to be liable if any misusage or any debt recording or debt reporting goes against you. You see what I'm saying? So what you're doing is developing a proof of claim, and you send it to them. But you have to fill this out, and you have to get their personal information. But if you don't, you have to realize it's not your fault. But at the same token, it's their fault because, to be honest with you, do Social Security Administration SS 89, they're basically saying they need authorization. So all of y'all that took out loans, all of y'all that got loans from these individuals, or all of y'all that signed things, they never had written authorization. So when they told you you were approved for a mortgage, they never had written authorization, which means that the contract is null and void because without my consent prior to this engagement, then that means that I'm entering into a contract unwittingly and unknowingly. Now, when you make a material to your interest to let them know this, it's very important. Now, in furtherance of the matter, you have to take it in consideration that they're going to look at you like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. They know exactly what you're talking about. Because, again, floating liens is what they do. So when they say, oh, yeah, you can come pick up the vehicle, sure. Oh, you can come look at the house, sure. We'll give you the keys. This is called granular access. They basically said, we give you access because it's already paid for by your signature alone. Most powerful thing, I said it in my videos before, the most powerful thing you have in this world is your signature. It is not what's in your bank account. It is not what is in your motherfucking goddamn IRA. It is not what's in your Roth IRA. It's not about that. Your assets and all that, and liabilities and all that stuff like that. All of those are fancy terms to just throw around to make you believe that it's outside of you. And the reality is, it's all about you being the principal. That shit has no worth if you die. You see what I'm saying? All that money you have, all that stuff you think you have, it has no worth because you have to give the motivating force for it to be able to be used as what? As a beneficial asset. But if you're dead, then basically it is what it is. And see, in law, you're considered dead already, which means that basically you are considered salvage. So if you freely give your social security number away to entities, you're basically saying, I'm lost at sea. So it's just like if a ship capsizes and all the goods are just scattered, anybody can come collect and gather it because it's salvage. It's just like if you leave a piece of property abandoned. That's one of the reasons why if you leave a vehicle on a certain place, they can tow it because you abandoned it. You see what I'm saying? They can't tow it with you in it. They can tow it with you out of it though. So it's just like a capsized seat. It's like a ship. You abandoned it. Or it's just like when people talk about like, squatters and people who pay mortgages on the house and they talk about they got squatters right. No, you abandoned it. And a lot of people do not understand is that this is the real intricacies of the law when it comes down to this. But are mortgage companies going to tell you about this? No, they're not. Because at the same token, any damages that are incurred on the property when somebody is actually squatting in that property falls on the person who took the loan, who didn't know anything about what they was doing. And that's the sad part about it. But they'll never tell you that because mortgage companies get paid irrespective. You know what I'm saying? When you sign for a mortgage agreement, you either sign one or two documents, whether you know what you're signing or not. You sign a promissory note, promise to pay, which gives them the ability to keep the deed. So if they keep the deed, then you don't own the house. That's why people are like, this is my house. No, it's not. Unless you have a deed and you have a deed on file on record with the county clerk in which you live, you don't own it. You are nothing more than an upgraded, indebted servitude tenant. That's what you are. You're not a homeowner. That's why, unless you can only be a homeowner if you have deed. You can only be a car owner if you have title. But see, when I tell people about being a secure party creditor, it doesn't matter because you have a superior security interest in the property. So you having a superior security interest in the property doesn't mean that the deed and the title is null and void. It just attests to say that you are in a secure position to secure it because you have a secure position over the debtor, which is the lender. You just learned a significant truth in less than 16 minutes. Straight up. So I say all that to say what? You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of people might be a little confused in regards to what I'm saying. But there's no need to be confused. And pardon me, I'm multitasking. No need to be confused. You see what I'm saying? No need. You just have to know the right forms, and you have to know the right so forth and so on to understand. Exactly. Now, the violation warning in regards to before I proceed with the next segment is 18 United States Code subsection 242. And it is illegal for anyone to ask for your social security number. This is also a violation under 18 USC subsection 245, and you could seek damages under 42 United States Code 1983. And this is what you will also send to any type of so-called creditor, because they're not creditors whatsoever. And I'm gonna show you how in a second. They're not creditors whatsoever. They can't be. How could somebody who borrows from a borrower, who lends, who borrows from a borrower, turns it around? Because it's called deceptive practices. What they do is they make you believe that you're borrowing from them, even though they don't have anything. They believe in their inflated minds in regards to banking that they're actually giving you something. They're not. They're creating a lien. That's what they create by a promissory note. Now, if y'all don't understand these legal terms I'm saying, that's why I said bring your notebook, pen, and paper. They create a lien by a promissory note. So they're guaranteeing to get paid by you agreeing to pay them back from what they created. So they got nothing of value from you, but they gave you something of value through a deceptive practice to try to make the bank entry say, we gave you this much. But remember, from the initial moment of the contract, there was no written consent on your behalf, which means that the contract is null and void and you own the property outright. That's in less than 19 minutes. Now, let's talk in legal terms. Let's talk about the loan company. Let's talk about it. The transferee is the one who receives the instrument by mail, process server, or by warrant. The transferee is a target. The issuer is shooting the instrument at the target, hoping the target will just take the shot and agree and become liable on the new offer. What I just said. I'm speaking in legalese now. The issuer is bluffing. If the transferee recognizes the demand instrument as a bluff, he can call the issuer on the bluff and require the issuer to pay. The transferee actually gains a security interest in the instrument if you recognize it. Emphasis added. If the instrument is issued and transferred for value with implied consideration, meaning you have to imply what your consideration is, the transferee acquires a security interest or other lien on the instrument if it was not obtained by judicial proceeding. This is UCC 3-303. If you properly endorse a document issued and transferred for value, you acquire a right to enforce the instrument against the issuer. You become the creditor by returning it to the issuer, who becomes the debtor. So what are you doing? You're doing exactly what they did to you. They say you have to pay this much. You're agreeing to say, okay, I accept it for its value, and you give it back to them. That's all you're doing. By accepting the instrument for value, you are altering the terms of the offer. which means that they can't say, well, you still have to pay. You already did. You accepted it for its value. And it becomes a counter offer, which means that they cannot seek any judicial remedy because you offered them something that they offered you. And you said, I accept what you offered me. I gave you my counter offer. So your remedy has already been met because you didn't operate in dishonor because you accepted it. Whether they accept it or not is none of your concern. They can send their little minions after you, debt collectors and all those individuals. It doesn't matter. You already settled the matter when you accepted it. Once you sent it off, in the discussion, nothing else to talk about. Acceptance. If an acceptance modifies the terms or adds new ones, it generally operates as a counteroffer. Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. The right to be the creditor is what you get when you accept for value an instrument that is issued and transferred for value, like a tax bill, penal action, indictment, or speeding ticket. The issues are all based on violations of statutes. Dishonor has value in the public. Violation of statutes has value in the public. The violation of the statute is the presumed basis or consideration for issuing the instrument. But if you have not promised to perform under those statutes, you are not obligated. And the issuer has no way of supporting his demand instrument. Notice what I said about the initial signature of authorization from the jump, from the beginning. Okay? It is issued without consideration. It is issued based on on a presumption that every U.S. citizen has pledged allegiance to the United States and to its private laws, statutes. It's a bluff. The river card has already been turned. You have the winning hand. You can call the issuer's bluff. You can check, you can raise, you can fold. It is your choice. You have the button. The commercial system of the United States is based on the law merchant. The law is not neutral. It is not set up to be fair. It is set up to facilitate collection for creditors, especially foreign creditors. It deals with debtors and creditors even when there is no debtor-creditor relationship. The only thing that has to be determined in most situations is who is the debtor and who is the creditor. Now, I don't want to expound too much to try to overload the minds of people who are just learning this or the people who may have already known this. I'm going to keep this going and to let you know particularly that that's the truth. That is the proof in the pudding. The only thing that they are determined to know is who is the debtor and who is the creditor. We are going to have what is called a meeting of the minds in regards to this subject, and we're going to get some subject matter jurisdiction to determine who owes who what. That's all court cases are, whether it be foreclosure, criminal charges, mediocre charges, city violations, so forth. It's all about a debtor and creditor relationship. And I hope this shed a lot more light upon who y'all figure out and know exactly who creditors and debtors are, which is why I stress so much about becoming a secured party creditor. Because if you become a secured party creditor in your own right, what do? You establish the relationship that irrespective of any claim brought against you, you have a superior security interest in your own business. So that you can never be a debtor. That's why I told people filing UCC1s as you as a debtor is fucking wrong. Now, now you see why I say what I say. So I don't hear me though. Need something to drink, mouth dry the month. I'm just telling y'all. Now you understand. Now you understand. I hope you do. And when you're dealing with these entities, you have to realize they operate under a fraudulent system. They cannot foreclose on something you already paid for. So I tell people in simplistic terms, you already paid for it. Now, lawyers will argue to you blue in the face, and they'll try to tell you, well, it's the contract, it's the contract. No, if it's down to what they call the bottom line, the person who signs accepts all liability. But the liability was created through fraudulent practices. It was created through fraud. Truth is sovereign in commerce. See, people say I'm sovereign. No, truth is sovereign. Truth, what's evidently true, is sovereign. When you're dealing with the commercial system. See, we don't talk about all that other stuff. Like a lot of people trying to smear campaign people on YouTube and so forth and so on, Instagram, social media, make them seem like they some nutjacks and shit. Make them seem like they're crazy. You don't know what they're talking about. No, you are responsible for your own well-being in regards to commerce. If you're a secured party creditor, there you go. And this is part one on understanding fraud. And it is what it is. Some people will hear it, some people won't. But I do not play with these debt entities whatsoever. I don't. And to be honest with you, I honestly don't. But you have to be the individual who has to take charge and to take stand and to stop getting fucked over by these entities who do not deserve, quote unquote, your hard earned credit. We ain't gonna say money, credit. Your hard earned credit. Every time you clock into an employer, they get paid. They pay you a percentage of what you're worth. And if I really showed you a chart of what you are really worth, you probably go in there and tear up your motherfucking employer's office tomorrow. A percentage. It's true. But at the same token, then you have to go to a place after you get off of work to go there. And then you have to pay for that if you have a mortgage. Then jump back in the vehicle that you have to make payments on if you have a loan to get gas with a credit card. Do y'all get where I'm going with this shit? They're loaning you back your own credit every day, which is one of the reasons why what we see is going on in this country, with irrespective of it being propaganda or not, the influx of migrants. Yeah, sure, you're living off your credits. Y'all keep talking about tax dollars. Those have been gone way before you even knew what they were even spent on, before you even know. Ronald Reagan's Grace Report in 1982 said that shit. Solely your taxes are absorbed. They're gone. I'm talking about as soon as they hit, they're gone. Yep, gone. So what they do is, while those taxes are gone, they create municipal bonds. Yeah. Good old tax-free municipal bonds. That's what they create. And that's what keeps the system rolling. Because that's where your tickets, your child supports, your student loan debts, and all that stuff, all of it is debt. That's why they call it national debt. But you always notice that the national debt clock always moves forward, it never moves backwards. Because minute by minute, well, second by second, excuse me, let me start from the increment of time. Millisecond by millisecond, it's a second into minutes, into hours, into weeks, into days, into years. So much is accruing. But the thing is, people who operate in a sovereign capacity do not understand this. For all these people that are out there that consider themselves secured party creditors, your job is to turn the clock backwards. Your job is to minimize the debt. That's why you never send a bill of exchange to the Treasury with a positive note. Little do people know, the more people would learn about this, you would be able to annihilate the national debt overnight, only if you knew how to do it. See, a lot of these people will come out here on the social media and just try to pretend like they know what they're talking about. But the job is to not increase the debt, it is to minimize it. Acquire property, but never go into debt by paying for it. It's to acquire. Once you acquire, you basically own, irrespective of title, irrespective of deed. And if you need to, go to federal litigation on these people. Go to it. Using the respective codes that's designed to protect you to make sure that you can ensure your creditorship. Because if you took out a loan, you don't owe nobody. It's a figment of your imagination. Some people it's just a bunch of jumble of play on words that they don't understand. It's understandable because people have their minds preoccupied with other things. That's fine. The object is to owe no one anything. Because in reality, you're the source and you're the principal. There you go. Whether you believe it or not, it is what it is. Hopefully, y'all stay safe. Take heed to my words. My email addresses will be leaved in the comment section. As I always say before I sign off, I usually start off in the beginning. Support the content. If you don't want to support the content, it's not going to stop me whatsoever. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Alhamdulillah, I'm good to go. But consideration is consideration because, I mean, dropping knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, because like I said before, for YouTube, not me, they demonetized my channel. It is what it is. Because like I said, I never did this for that particular anyway. You know what I'm saying? People need to know the truth and the significant truth in less than a certain time. So that's pretty much what it is. Because usually I don't do videos this long, but this was an expounded topic to be expounded upon. And it's gonna take a little bit more time to be honest with you. Because it's heavy. It's heavy reading, it's heavy study. But I simplify it so much that you can get it. You can grasp where I'm coming from. So yeah, that's pretty much. The workman is worthy of his wages. It is what it is. But see y'all soon. Peace, light, love. Agents, fuck you. Don't contact me whatsoever. I got nothing for ya. I got nothing for ya. But it is what it is, y'all. Y'all take care. Y'all be safe out there in that crazy world. As you can see, we shifted in a higher dimension. People are hanging on to the old world that's passing into the new one. You know what I'm saying? Sit back, enjoy the ride, and utilize the process. See you on the other side. Take care.